Welcome to the Why Not podcast with me, Chrissy Hawkins. In a world where everybody always asks you why, I'm here to ask why not. I'm going to do that by breaking down the mindsets of guests and my own to figure out what makes people say, why not? Welcome guys. We are 6 feet out from the big C day. Yep, that was a weird way of describing it. But anyway, today I want to talk about mistakes we make when we are trying to do a weight loss journey and how we can avoid starting them all over again and then we crashing and going back to January. I talk a lot about mindset here. I talk about planning, loads of different things, and I actually talk about some of the stuff that I did myself. So it's not just like, I'm not saying, hey, you're not good enough for doing this, whatever, like, because I've done a lot of this myself over the years, and this is how I'm able to speak about it now, because I've learned the hard way, which is the best way to learn sometimes. But anyway, as ever guys, I just want you guys to sit back and relax or walk and listen, but whatever way you want to do this, please do enjoy this week's episode on mistakes we make when starting a fitness journey. Hello everyone and welcome back to Why Not. It is bloody freezing today, isn't it? Just for reference, I'm recording this on the 1st of November, and I swear to God, I thought it got cold when the temperature dropped in the start of October, maybe? And now I'm like, holy hell, it was not cold, it's cold now, and it's not even properly cold. But winter is officially here, I think, unless we want to have a bit more like, randomly mild days, which I won't say no to. And other than me just moaning about the cold, the reason I am talking about this a little bit is the fact that, as I said, it's the 1st of November, which made me think, hey look, it is 6 weeks till that day that I will not talk about because I don't like it. But this made me think about the fact now, you'll see it advertised everywhere, 6-week challenges, LBD, get ready for Christmas, get fit for Christmas. All the PTs will be out there doing it, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, by the way. I'm just saying everyone's going to be in that mindset now. 6 weeks, lose weight, Christmas coming, damn it, I said it, be ready to go. And with that comes a whole host of other issues that people are going to be having, and we're talking extreme diets, maybe trying to overtrain to achieve that figure they're looking for the LBD, fear of the Christmas parties and not being able to eat and enjoy them because it'll ruin how you look, all these things. So I wanted to talk about it today in the podcast. So basically, I'm going to talk about mistakes we all make when we're starting a fitness journey or a weight loss, fat loss journey. And just so you know, I have probably done all these myself. I now am in a different place, so I do things differently. However, over the years, this works as well, not just because it's Christmas. This works when you're going on holiday as well, if you're going away, if you've an event coming up that you feel like you have to lose weight for. All of the above, they all go under this one umbrella, and this is why I'm going to talk about it today. So what are we talking about here? And I think we've all been there. Let's picture the scene. You have an event coming up, for example, let's say the Christmas party, or you could have a wedding coming up, or like I said, a holiday, and you decide that your outfit, your bikini, whatever, you don't look how you think you should look in it, okay? And you decide, I need to lose a bit of weight before I go to this party, event, whatever it is. So what do you do? Diet time, exercise time, maybe sign up for a personal trainer, maybe, we don't know what's going on here. One of these multiple options are here, okay? But I think maybe we start throwing out the window carbs. Easiest one, that's how you lose weight, right? Quickest way, carbs are out the window. Now, I haven't been training for 3 to 4 months, maybe longer, but you know what? I'm going to go 5-6 days a week. with or without a trainer. I'm going to do classes. Sometimes maybe I'll do 2 classes back to back if I can't get a class on the week. And as I said, no carb will pass my lips. Chocolate out of the house. Biscuits out of the house. None of this. Not allowed to do any of that, as it is. This thing is the be all and end all. I'm going to lose X amount of weight that I have decided I need to lose in my own head before this party, or I will not look the way I want to for it. So, one of 2 things happen. You say super strict and you don't enjoy yourself or have any fun for the amount of time coming up to this event. You train, you feel miserable, you are hungry all the time, you get headaches because you're not eating enough carbs, maybe your muscles cramp up a little bit, but you keep pushing through. You start to loathe going to the gym. You don't want to be there. Some maybe you start skipping sessions, and maybe you're perfect Monday to Friday, and at the weekend you just go through everything around you because, oh, it's treat day, I can have a treat, and then you end up eating a full packet of biscuits, 2 takeaways, and drink your body weight in alcohol. Or you manage to stay super strict for the whole time, and same thing when you finish is either just before it happens, because this is what used to happen to me. I would be, as I say, on point with my diet, exercising like crazy, and then about 2 weeks before I'd be just stuffing my face, and I'd be like, oh, I can't stop eating because I know this is coming up now. Or that was me, that was what happened. Or even if you do make it to the event, you either don't enjoy it because you're just so hungry, or if it's a holiday, you just eat everything around yourself for the full holiday, come home feeling miserable, and start the diet all over again. I don't know if these sound familiar to you or sound like something you have done. Do let me know if this is something you do. However, this is something I know I used to do. It was all about getting that cardio, as much cardio as possible, and not eating. And then a week before, I would just eat everything around me, and suddenly I would be not the way I wanted. I'd kind of be still fitting into what I was supposed to wear. Not that I was ever like unable to fit into it, but what I'd say is I wouldn't feel as good as I should, or if I wanted to wear a tight dress, I feel all bloated because I generally bought a dress too small for me anyway, because can't be getting a size bigger than a small, and then I just eating everything coming up to it. So this is where I want to start with, and if this sounds like you're in the right place, and hopefully we're going to talk through some of the other mistakes we all may have made during prepping for some event or prepping for Christmas, and we can talk about how we can avoid doing all this. So let's talk with it. When you're starting a fitness journey or a weight loss or a fat loss coming up to something, do you see it as a chore? So not because you're not going to the gym or exercising or maybe changing up how you eat because you want to nourish yourself and feel better, and you want to get fitter and feel stronger and notice your own little differences? Or do you feel like it's something you have to do in order to lose weight? Like you hate going to the gym. You can't think of anything worse than having to go to a gym class or lift weights or go in there and spend 45 minutes on the cross trainer or the treadmill. Which do you feel? Do you feel, yeah, do cool, I like to train. I like going training. I like going to gym. It's fun. I get to see people at the classes. Or you're like, oh, this again. And that's a big difference, because, if you're seen as a chore, you're not enjoying it and you're not going to pull your full effort into it. Now, by the way, you're not always going to enjoy training. There's days where I wake up and I don't want to do it, but I just still do it because it's a habit now. And there's some days where you won't feel up to it because you're tired and you mightn't train that day, and that's okay too. But what I'm trying to say is, if you are dragging yourself to every session, it's not going to become a staple in your life. So Like, if you hate doing weights every day and you're going all the time, you're only going to do it for the duration what you have to. If it's something you want to change and make part of your life, pick something you enjoy. If you enjoy running, God knows who does, go running. If it's a dance fit class, stuff like that, go to that. Something that you look forward to. Get a friend. Even if you are going to weight class and you're not a big friend, bring a friend. You guys can be like, have the crack together and laugh when you can't do something and cheer each other on when you get better. This is more going to make it more enjoyable than dragging yourself to a session every week. And also, if you're training with a trainer, make sure you enjoy your trainer, or you're friendly where you get on with your trainer, because if you hate them, you're not going to stick with it. You want to get someone you can enjoy and enjoy your workout and get on with, like, not enjoy your trainer in that way. That sounds filthy, but you know what I mean. I'm talking someone that you can get on with and you can make your sessions fun. And yeah, fine, you're not going to enjoy every minute, but if you can have someone like that to work with, it's way better for you than if you're with someone that you can't stand and all they do is give out to you or tell you you're wrong. Have someone that you can work with and feel good when you're training with them. And the same goes for if you're going on a diet. Don't make it a chore by cutting out carbs or saying you can't enjoy chocolate and feeling miserable if you go meet your friend for coffee and you have to drink black coffee while they have a cake. And instead of that, I would say maybe focus what you can add in. I've talked about this before, like, add more fruit and veg, add more lean protein to your diet. Allow yourself to have a bit of chocolate, because if you allow yourself to have a bit of chocolate, you're more likely to stick to it and you won't feel like you're missing out. Yes, there's also skinny options. So if you go to with your friend and you want to get a latte, get a skinny latte. It's better than nothing. It's, if you hate black coffee, don't drink black coffee. I drink black coffee because I enjoy it, but if you don't like it, don't do it. Same, like, if you're getting a cake or pastry, maybe if you want to look for the low calorie option, or if that day you want to have the pastry, have the pastry. Don't feel like you can't, because if you give yourself permission, you're less likely to end up binging on other stuff. So make sure, like, a diet doesn't have to be miserable. And so if you are focusing on trying to eat a little bit better, do focus on adding things in and not taking them away. And for the love of God, don't cut out carbs. They're far more enjoyable. And also don't cut out fat, because especially if you're a woman, we need fat for our hormones. But just keep an eye on everything you're eating. Another thing that I see is people kind of set it as a start date and an end date. So if you want your results to last, you need to see it as a change of, say, lifestyle. I know that sounds really cheesy, but if you are starting on Monday, every Monday for the last 6 months, and the scale hasn't budged, maybe it's time to think of it differently. Maybe it's not working. Not saying the scales is be all and end all, but what I'm saying is, if you've seen no difference and you keep starting on Monday, maybe start on Wednesday next week. Or, say from where you are, I'm going to make a change from now, as opposed to going, on Monday I'm not eating anything bad. No, I won't touch it. I will be perfect. You won't be perfect. Life isn't like that, and don't worry that it's not like that. There's no pressure and there's nothing wrong with you. If you have an off day, you have an off day. That's just what happens with life, as I said. And the issue with the end date as well is you will keep chugging along to that end day and going through the misery and feeling terrible the whole time, and just pushing through, because at the end of the 8 weeks, or the day the party is, or the holiday, you don't have to do that anymore. And when you get into this kind of mindset, it becomes harder to continue doing it as a normal practice. So, like, if you go, right, I just have to do this. So coupling that would have been a chore. So if you're starving yourself and you're working out loads and you're hating every minute of it and all you're thinking is misery, as soon as that date's over, you're not going to go, I'm going to the event and I'm going to go to training like next week, or you're not going to take a week off and get back to it, because all you're associating your brain now with is misery. When you try to get fit, you're miserable because you're doing this extreme way of going about it. Whereas if you were a little bit more lenient on yourself, eating enough to fuel you and enjoying your training, you can go to that event and you'll come back 2-3 days later, maybe if you're on holidays or taking a week off, and then you'll go back and it won't be such a chore to go back. You'll feel better going back to it. You might even be excited to go back, because I don't know if people get used to, anyone ever feel like this, if you're on holidays and you get used to eating a certain way at home, and then you go on holidays and you just eat like processed food and shite and burgers, and you drink loads, and by the end of the week you're almost craving a salad. If you, I don't know if that happens to other people, I've heard people say that before, it happens to me. By the end of the week I'm like, God, I just love a load of water and salad. And that's your body just crying out for nutrients again. So, you know, you want to get yourself in that frame where, you know, you're used to eating a generally quote unquote healthy or kind of nourishing diet, and then when you're off it, you actually want to come back to it, as opposed to like struggling through these whole 6-8 weeks and then just being so like, oh, I'm so over this, you don't want to go near it ever again. So that was just thing to remember. Like, you know, if you are trying to get your results, like, and don't these kickstarting things, like, you know, 6-week transformation to kickstart, that's a load of bollocks as well. You know, you don't need to be put on a super restrictive diet to reset your metabolism or detox your body from what it's used to having, or what else is there? There's, you know, you take away everything, so then when you add stuff bad in, you won't want it anymore, some shite like that. Anyway, they've been sold in loads of different ways. You don't need to do that. Yes, you can do a 6-week challenge, but you don't need to work out, as I said, 5 times a week and, you know, take out all of the food you enjoy in order to reset your body. It doesn't need to be done. It can be, your body can be reset and, you know, kept like, how am I trying to say? Your body can like get the results it needs without having to do the extreme ones. Diets is what I'm trying to say there. And, you know, as I talked about, cutting full macronutrient groups out fine. Like, you know, you can do it if you want, but, you know, if you want headaches, and I know it passes, and you can cut caffeine out, and again, you don't need to do it. You'll get caffeine, you get headaches from it and stuff, but, you know, you don't have to do these to achieve results. You know, you could just drink more water and eat more vegetables, and, you know, you feel a lot better while doing it, I'll tell you that much. Another thing that comes with a lot of these transformations as well, and challenges and things, is you end up taking on too much at once. So, like, if you've got a really busy lifestyle with like kids and a job, and I know a lot of people have been working from home recently, but, you know, there's more people going in and out now, commuting is happening again, and that's another 2 hours of your day that are gone, and you're trying to take, like, maybe get up at 6 a.m. and work out super hard and do this like 4 or 5 times a week, maybe 6, and then you're trying to like not eat, like, you know, not eat any carbs or have no caffeine, and then you're up all night with the children, and, you know, you're burning the candle at both ends basically, and you have to go in and get in the dart and go into work, like, or the bus or drive or whatever way you're doing it, like, you know, trying to take a lot of that on. And as I said, if you are doing it just for the 8 weeks, yeah, that's grand. But when those 8 weeks are over, you're not going to want to bring yourself back to that misery. So remember, try not to take on too much at once. Maybe see where you can add in a little bit extra here, a workout here or there, you know, the odd walk. Like, can you take the baby out for a stroll? Or, you know, on your lunch break, can you go for a half an hour walk just to even get some fresh air? Because you don't want to be indoors the whole time. I know the weather's shite at the moment, and it's not really like inviting to go out, but you want to be doing, like, we want to try and get out and get some fresh air, as opposed to being locked in all the time, and doing it at a time that suits you and a pace that suits you, as opposed to just exhausting yourself, as I said, because we always forget, like, you know, it's all well and good getting up at all hours to train multiple times or whatever, like, you know, getting up really early or staying up late training. But we always forget, like, you know, almost your recovery happens when you're sleeping. So if you're cutting down your sleeping, you're cutting down your recovery, and you're putting your body under more stress that it doesn't need. So you're making the time, like, the results, you could be hindering your results by doing these extra sessions, when really all you need to do is, you know, do a couple of sessions and get a gradual feel for it. Like, You know, if you haven't been commuting for a year and a half, now you're commuting a few days a week, you're going to be knackered because you're not used to being up, like, and, or, you know, sitting on a train, or, you know, some people have been able to get up roll out of bed and go straight to work, and now you have to get up, get dressed, get a train, go in, and do the same on the way back. And, you know, you're seeing more people, and you don't realize how much that's actually draining you, or not draining you, but like just tiring you out. And that's normal. So don't feel like, on top of that, if you're exhausted after a day, that you have to now go and, you know, go do a 2 hour session in the gym because you've strength training and cardio. Like, some days you might have to skip it. Some days maybe you'll just have a walk that evening, and then the next day you'll do your strength training. You'll split training sessions up. It's better for you in the long run. And as I said, less likely for you to get to the end of the 8 weeks and go, fuck this, I'm never training again. And then you just bounce back to where you started from. And, you know, thinking, there's nothing wrong with having goals and wanting to do this, but you have to be realistic. I've talked about this before. Like, sometimes we have these ideas in our head that we're going to do X, Y, and Z, and we're not realistic about it. Like, so if you're setting a goal for weight loss or whatever, maybe be more realistic. You're not going to lose 20 pounds in a month or whatever. Well, maybe you will. Depends. You mightn't even have that to lose. But, like, maybe you can focus on different goals that are attainable. Like, you know, you're going to improve your run time a little bit by a second or here or there, depending on how much you've been running. Or, like, you're going to improve your weightlifting, or you're going to actually make 3 classes a week. Something like that, as opposed to, like, I have to have this extreme weight loss goal. Because I know we see them, we're taught, like, because we see all the magazines, you know, X celebrity did this in 2 weeks after baby, like, but you have to remember they have personal trainer and maybe a strict diet, which might not be the healthiest, and they have someone to mind the children, and they can take naps when they need to because, you know, there's someone to do their laundry. And so we need to not compare ourselves to what they're doing, because you might have 10 million things to do every day. I know that's a bit of extreme, but you know what I mean? Like, fitting in all these extra things in order to achieve the same amount of weight loss as Kim Kardashian or Reese Witherspoon or whatever soap actress is selling a DVD now. It may not be attainable for you. And try and bring that back to something that's more attainable for you will make you feel so much better on the process. You won't make you, like, it's not your fault if you can't stick to these crazy diet and training regimes, because I think a lot of the time we blame ourselves for not being able to do that, when a lot of the time it's just not, like, physically possible. Yes, we have the whole 24 hours, same 24 hours in the day. You can argue that, but we don't. Like, you know, some people have more responsibilities and jobs and, as I said, children or pets and all different things to look after, and they're forgetting about that when they're beating themselves up for not being able to live on air and train 5 hours a day. So, you know, just try and be mindful of that. If you are kind of feeling like you're failing, maybe you need to look at how you're planning, what you're basing your ideas off, and work back and go, okay, maybe I've overestimated this. There's nothing wrong with, like, giving yourself goals, but make them attainable, make them something that you can actually do and you feel like you can do, and you don't feel like you're going to, quote unquote, fail. It's not your fault if you do, because you may have just left yourself with too much to do. So just try and be a little bit more realistic. Try and look at that. If you have something in your head, a number in your head, find out where, like, look in and find out where you got that from. Think about the person maybe you're basing it off. Is it a neighbor? Is it a celebrity? What's their situation like? Is yours the same? If it's not, are they the same weight as you? Are they the same height as you? You know, all these different things. Look at these contexts before you make a decision, because all it's going to do is make you feel miserable that you're not able to compete with them, but you've just taken it kind of out of the air. And even if you are basing off someone, you know, you mightn't have taken these kind of things into account. And one of the big ones as well I find is with this is like not planning what you're doing. So it's all well and good saying, I'm gonna go do this, this, and this, and I'm gonna eat like this, and I'm gonna go to the gym this many days a week, like, but you don't actually book it in, or you don't, like, say for instance, plan your meals for the week. Like, so if you want to say I'm gonna eat healthy, things like meal prepping come in really handy. So you've got a couple hours on a Sunday, make a couple of meals that you can have for the week, or if you're making dinner at night, make an extra batch for your lunch so you have it there, and when the time comes round, you're not tempted to go, I know I'll go get a chicken fillet roll. Or if you have a bad day and things go wrong, you get home and instead of having to get a takeaway, you have the food there. And if it's ready for you, all you have to do is pop it in the microwave. And like, I know people don't like reheating stuff and all that, but at the end of the day, it's not like, you can make these excuses basically if you want. I don't like your heated food like this, but okay, but is it going to help you towards your goal? Great, then do it. Just suck it up. And like I said, if you have something from the night before or something prepped, like if something goes wrong, you're already there. You already have the food. You don't have to worry now and stressed about picking up something. Like, it could be late at night, or you could be in an area where all you can get is something like, as I said, a chicken fillet roll or a sandwich. And, you know, you don't end up being full and you end up starving and then hoofing down whatever you can. So I found that really helpful recently. I've actually been doing my lunches for the week and it's there for me. And it keeps me not in check, but it means I know what the nutrient content is my lunch, and it's there for me. I don't do this all the time, but I'm doing it at the moment because it's in line with my goals. And obviously there's going to be days where no matter what you do, this doesn't happen. And this happened to me last week as well. We had a blackout. I ended up having pizza for dinner. Sometimes that'll happen, and don't worry if that happens, because that's just normal and that's not your fault, and sometimes that life gets in the way. But if we have as many preventive measures ahead of schedule, ahead of this happening, you may be able to avoid more often than not anything like that happening. And one thing I do know as well is a lot of people like major in the minors, as Paul Dermody would say. And basically what I find that is you're obsessing over eating 2 or 3 calories, or, you know, eating something that's going to be like make so little difference to your day. Like, say for instance, having an extra slice of tomato on a burger, or, you know, little things like this, and not focusing on the overall things like how's your sleep, how's your activity level, are you getting out and getting air, and you're like so focused on, you know, if you miss one workout, that's it, the week's over, or if you eat slightly off one day, it's a write-off, and then it snowballs to the week. Whereas if you look at the bigger picture, yeah, one meal's not going to do a big difference. A couple of calories here or there, if you are tracking, isn't going to make a difference. So if you're obsessing over these little things, you're going to miss the bigger picture, which are the things that make a difference. So if there's those things that you're finding, like, you know, another thing, like, you know, stepping on the scale and seeing you're only 0.5 of a pound down, you know, obsessing about that, whereas maybe if you took a photo, you'd see a big difference. And I just think it's so important that we need to look at the bigger picture, because, as I said, like, majoring in the minors, you get obsessed and then everything becomes a write-off. One little thing goes wrong and it snowballs. Whereas if you go, okay, fine, that happened, roll over, we go, move on to the next day, there's no more snowball effect, because you've just known that that was not going to make a huge difference to your overall goals. And that's the really important thing. You know, if you don't, as well, the other thing is, if you don't fully understand why you're doing what you're doing, you're going to obsess over these little things. So why are you doing, like, why do you want to lose weight? What is your goal? Like, how are you going about it? So say for instance, if you're on a certain diet, or if you're doing things a certain way with a personal trainer or whatever, ask them why. If you don't know why you're doing it, you're going to find it very hard to stick to it. Like, you know, if they can't explain to you why you're doing it, then you've got another issue. And I think you need to make sure that you know why you're doing it. So internally, why you're doing it for you, not because you feel like you have to. And then what your trainer or what diet you've been put on or what nutritional protocols you've been given, why are they giving that to you? Can they explain to you? Are they doing your meal plan? Why are they doing that? Are they letting you kind of figure it out as you go? Why are they doing that? Can they explain to you why you're doing that? Can they explain to you why you, quote unquote, shouldn't eat certain foods or why one's worse than the other? Like, can you explain to yourself while you're doing this? So if you're doing your own diet and you're like, oh, I can't eat chocolate, why can't you eat chocolate? Can you explain why? Can you break it down like it was a 5-year-old? If you don't know why, you won't be able to stick to it. It'll become a hell of a lot harder. And this is a big thing, and I think a lot of people don't realise why they're doing things, and this is why they struggle to keep with it. You know why you brush your teeth. It's not exactly exciting, but you know why you do it, because you don't want your teeth to rot, and dentists are expensive and horrendous. Not horrendous people, it's just, I have a fear of the dentist. But, so why are you eating this way? Why are you training like this? It's the same thing for everything. And, like, as well, when you don't have a set goal, it can be very difficult and you can start focusing on different things. So if I ask you what your goal is, to lose a bit of weight is not a goal. How do you know when you've lost a bit? How do you know, like, to drop a dress size? That's a goal. That's a bit more, you'll know because your size, well, the way women's clothing is made, maybe not, but ideally you might. This is what I'm kind of saying, like, seeing these things, oh, I just want to get stronger. That's not measurable. How do you know you're stronger? Fine, you lift a bit heavier or whatever. I just want to be a bit fitter. Not by what standard? How do you mark that you're fitter? All these things we have to realise. I keep hearing people going, I need to lose some weight. How much weight? Oh, I don't know. I need to do this. But how do you know you've done that? I don't know. You can give vague answers. If you give vague answers, you get vague results. You need to be able to measure it. Do you want to lose a certain amount of weight? Perfect. Do you want to drop some certain amount of inches? Perfect. Do you want to be able to bench your body weight? Perfect. All measurable, all able to know what all these are measurable, do you want to improve your run time? Again, measurable. Do you want to be able to run a certain distance? Do you want to run 5k? Measurable. All of these are so important because if we can't measure it, you can't track it. And this is why people run out of motivation, is because they don't know what they're doing. They don't know why they're doing it. And they are all fired up. And as soon as they hit a couple weeks in, motivation goes, because again, they don't know why they're doing it or what they want from it. So this is really, really important. And I think we need to remember this. And I know it can be scary to set goals and have a written down set goal, because if you don't get it, you might think you've failed, but maybe you haven't. You can't fail if you don't have a goal, but you also can't achieve it. So I don't know what is worse there. Would you rather just keep floating from session to session with no goal, or do you actually want to do something? And if you have it written down, you mightn't get it on the day you want it, but it doesn't say you'll never get it. It's not a failure. It's a learning. Like everything, the first time you got on a bike, did you manage to cycle with no stabilizers, or did you fall off? Because I fell off multiple times, including crashing into a tree. When you learn to read and write, you kept going until you were able to do it. Like all these little things that we don't think about that we do, that we definitely failed at first, but you fell forward and okay, it's not done this time, but maybe next time, and we keep working towards it. And as I said, if you don't get that goal on that date, maybe you didn't give yourself enough time, and you can reassess and go back going, okay, it wasn't achievable. Maybe I need to go and change my tactics, and this time I'll get it. So, failure isn't ending. Just because you're not a certain weight, or you didn't make that lift, or you didn't make that run on that certain day, it doesn't mean you never will. It just means maybe you didn't give yourself time. Maybe you didn't set up the right environment to do so. But when you do, you will feel so good that you've made it and you kept persevering to get to it. And you'll know you've achieved something because the goal is there. And that can be, as I said, it can be anything from running a 5K to dropping a dress size, but it has to be specific. You need to know where you are going and what you want to do. What is your goal? Where do you want to be? And that's really, really important. And then the other thing as well is sometimes in order to achieve where we want to be is we have to accept that there's going to be a form of identity change. So for me, my identity is I train, I like lifting weights and I horse ride. That's part of my identity. And the same thing, like if your identity is, oh, I'm just not fit, oh, I can't lose weight, oh, I'm just not good at that, it's going to stay like that. And until you make the change, you go, okay, I'm not fit yet, I don't really like the gym. Okay, fine, maybe you don't, fair. But that's part of your identity now. Like you can go, oh, I'm going to the gym, I am getting fitter, I am on a journey to improve my overall health and fitness. This starts to change, and people maybe not like that. Like you might get pushback from family or friends, saying don't lose too much weight and don't do this and don't do that, or that's mad that you're doing that, or why aren't you drinking? But that's because it challenges their identities and they don't feel comfortable, and it's nothing to do with you. And of course, when you're doing a kind of change like this and an identity change, for want of a better description, it is uncomfortable and it's hard. Like, little things that we don't realize. Like for me recently, it's like I don't track what I eat, but I'm tracking at the moment because I have a goal that I'm working towards, and with that goal, I need to keep an eye on my food intake a little bit better and keep an eye on what I'm doing. And I'm doing that, and that's just what I'm doing. I'm just tracking everything. I'm doing it every day. It's just what I do. And, we're so tied to our identities that we don't, we think we want to, but we don't know what we'd be like if we are that gym person now. Are people going to judge us differently? Are people not going to like us anymore? And you just have to take it in your stride and go, okay, well, if they don't, that's their problem and not yours. So why are you holding yourself back for someone else's comfort? Like, if you want to feel better about yourself and you want to go out and do this yourself, do it for yourself, and don't worry what other people are gonna think. And yeah, they probably won't like it, they probably won't be happy, but as I said, that's their problem and not yours. So remember that, there is a lot when it comes to the identity thing that people don't think about. They're like, oh yeah, I go gym but I'm not good at it, or I don't lift heavy, or I don't do this. And yeah, fine, if you keep telling yourself, you won't, unless you start changing that language in your head to I do it, I go regularly, I am a gym goer, or I am a runner, or any of these different things where we're changing the language about who we are and what we do. This is when you'll kind of see a difference more so, because the more you tell yourself I'm just not good at that, the more you'll stay not good at it. Now, I think I spoke about this a little bit in the podcast last week about our beliefs, but identity and beliefs are quite, close together. Wherever you may not think you have an identity, but you do. You have an internal identity, how you identify yourself as. This could be anything, big or small. This can be anything as far as I work in a bank. That's part of your identity. Or I work in a gym. I'm a personal trainer. I'm fit. I'm not fit. That's part of your identity. Maybe you're not fit by certain standards, but you could be fitter in some ways to other people, like different levels of fitness. So remember that, and be ready to feel discomfort as that starts to change, and feel pushback from not only yourself and other people, because creating this change is very, very difficult, and it will be a lot of discomfort, but it'll be worth it if it stops you going from a yo-yo the whole time, being up and down and all the time. Do you want to be a yo-yo dieter for the rest of your life, or do you want to be someone who's put their health first and changed how they operate in order to have a healthier lifestyle overall? Someone who eats well to fuel their body, who trains to keep themselves strong and able to take on menial tasks. It doesn't have to be 200 pull-ups and followed by 100 push-ups. You know, it can be being able to chase your kids around and play football with them, or, you know, carrying the shopping up 3 flights of stairs and not being out of breath. These are the things that we take for granted that come with better physical health. And I think we have to remember this when we are kind of sitting there going, I'm not that fit, or I'm not good at this. You know, the things we can change that will improve our quality of life, as opposed to being able to say you bench this much or you ran. Well, running's good as well, but you know, it's they're minute things. It's the other benefits that come with our overall life that is very much more important. That doesn't make sense in English either. To our overall health. The things that are protected of health, being muscly and thin and lean, isn't health. That's aesthetics. And a lot of the time they're not very healthy in the approaches, but that's a talk for another day. I'm talking more about things that'll matter more to you, that you won't notice until one day you've climbed a couple of flights of stairs and you're not out of breath and someone mentions how knackered they are, or one day you said you're picking up the shop and you've overfilled a bag and it's actually not as heavy as you thought it was going to be. These are going to be the things that are actually going to make a difference to your life, as opposed to being shredded and having a six-pack, or, you know, having a big butt. It's the back pain from not having... It's back pain that you don't have anymore because you've got strong glutes now. That's going to be the bigger difference for you. And I think with that, I am going to leave you all. I hope you took something from this episode, and I hope maybe this will make you challenge a few of your ideas, what way you think you should be doing things. Maybe look at your processes, look at how you are thinking coming into training, or, like I said, look at your identity. You know, I'm going to have an identity crisis now. I'm sorry if you do, but hopefully this helps you maybe break down different ideas in your head that you thought were the only way to do things, and you can start in the next 6 weeks, instead of going on a crash diet and a hardcore intensive training plan, you can look at putting in better practices that will make you run up to Christmas and your parties and everything so much more enjoyable than 6 weeks of misery followed by 2 weeks of binging, and then you go back on the January crash of not eating and punishing yourself for enjoying yourself over those 2 weeks. Now, with that, guys, if you are looking to find me, you will find me on Instagram and TikTok. It's Chrissyhfitness, and you'll also find my website. It's www.chrissyhawkins.com. And as ever, guys, I'm so appreciated everyone who listens to this. Please do like and share it. Share it on your stories if you want. I think it's on Apple Podcasts. You can leave a review. And yeah, I'm so glad everyone listened to me. Do hit me up with any responses if you have anything like this or anything that resonated with you. I'm happy to chat to you about it. I am always taking on online clients or in the gym as well, so if you do want to talk to me about that, please do feel free to give me a message, and I am really happy to talk to you about that and how we can help you in a sustainable and manageable and enjoyable way get to goals that you want. Thanks again, guys. Thank you again for listening to the Why Not podcast. It really means a lot that you are listening in, and I would love if you could please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or subscribe on Spotify. And always, I'd love to hear feedback personally, so if you do want to leave me a message and let me know how you found the podcast, please do.